Hey there, Jeremy.
Hi, Graham. How are you doing today?
Not bad. This tune is very soothing.
Makes me want to take a nap.
Well, no time for that right now. Now you gotta play a video game.
Ah, my life is really difficult
I
these days,
know.
it seems.
So, this is Tales of Rebirth, Jeremy.
Ah,
You know Tales of Rebirth, that big console Tales game?
I have, the one I haven't got around to playing yet.
Yeah, you know why you haven't gotten around to playing it yet?
Why?
Because it did not come out in the West.
Maybe that's a good reason.
It's not a very good reason. Well, I suppose it's a good reason for you to have not played it yet, but it's not a great reason for, you know.
A lot of the other Tales games made it over here. Why didn't this one?
Yeah, so I'll talk about that in a second because it may become a little more obvious when we get in here, but this sold incredibly well in Japan. Like one of the better selling Tales games, certainly at the time. And, you know, it was on the PS2 and not, you know, it wasn't like it was a GameCube game like Tales of Symphonia, right? It was on the dominant system. It's, you know.
And the PS2 got a lot of the good JRPGs of that era.
Yeah. So, we can... Nah, you know, I want to finish watching this video.
I gotta see how it ends now. I'm invested.
Yeah. There you go.
Alright, turns into a sketch.
Yep. Or sort of. Looks like maybe some Photoshop filters going on there.
Hashtag no filter.
Alright.
I went there. I went
you
there.
know, it's fine. So this is Tales of Rebirth. You want to continue? I have jumped us to a point where we can actually show some gameplay. Tales games, as usual, have a long intro. And I wanted to, you know, it's the very beginning of the game, but still kind of show you what's going on.
Oh.
So a lot of this is going to feel very familiar. You know, if you've played Tales games, same people made this game, right? This isn't some weird offshoot or some, you know, portable version or something like that. But you also might notice is that this game is using sprites right now.
Ah, that's kind of cool.
So this game is built on the Tales of Destiny 2 engine. Of course, if you have played Tales of Destiny 2, what you probably played was actually a game called Tales of Eternia, but the name Eternia was taken in the West. They just used the name of the last game again. And so the actual sequel to the first Tales of Destiny we never got either. And those were actually kind of like the last two main Tales games we never got. But, so this was released after Tales of Symphonia. And you see that, like, you know, Tales of Symphonia was like a fully polygonal game. Yeah, you can go down here. And, well, you can go, yeah, sorry, go north now. And then go to the right. Just to get out of town. So I've gotten to the point where you can leave town.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So I guess this is the typical village you grew up in?
Yeah. So this is polygonal. You see, the PS2 was certainly capable of it. They had the engine in place. But, so here's what happened. Tales games, you know, they come out a lot now still, right? There are a lot of Tales games. Well, first, okay, you're in a battle here. So you can use the cross button to attack and the circle button to attack, and you have your art. You have one art right now, and otherwise you're just slashing. But yeah.
And we have a giant cat with a purple
Yeah,
tail.
you know, as you do. But so, in the PS2 era, the Tales series was so popular, they had two teams working on Tales games at the same time.
Really?
So there was one team, which was the Tales of Destiny team, right? They've been working, it's, you know, it's most of like the, alright, there's a lot of laughing going on there. Yeah. This is a game with a lot of story and a lot of talking, and you're not going to be able to understand any of it, which is sad, but it nevertheless is the case.
Well, the thing that I'm getting now is this appears to be the Team Rocket of the game. High maniacal laughing, very dramatic speech.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're climbing there. But, you know, it's a Tales game, so you might want to mash through this dialogue. There's a lot of it. Yep. But yeah, so to continue my story.
Yeah.
So there was one team which had been making, you know, the PlayStation games, and then there was this second team for Tales of Symphonia.
Mm-hmm.
And the Tales of Symphonia team would go on to make Tales of the Abyss. And it's weird because I'm not entirely sure where this team ended up. You see here, this game used 3 lanes. You can tap up twice or down twice to go between these lanes. It's kind of like Guardian Heroes in that way.
Huh.
But this doesn't have 3D movement because it's, you know, sprite-based.
So it's not entirely the free roaming system, but it has a little bit more complexity than the single lane battle system.
Right, and it started development before the completion of the free roaming thing. But these were the developers who'd made the PlayStation games, and they really liked the idea of one lane, you know. But yeah, so basically there was this thing from about 1996, 97, until maybe modern day. I guess until just it died off. But there was this perception in the West that games with pixels wouldn't sell. It's why we didn't get a lot of, you know, 2D PlayStation games. It's why a lot of Western developers just arbitrarily made their platformers polygonal for no reason.
Oh, so we got a lot of seemingly really low-quality polygonal games.
Hit no on that. It's asking if you want to review the rules it just explained.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm good.
Yeah. You may want to head out and do a little more battling before you go too far, because there's story. But there's something about the sprite art that just really holds up well, and it's unfortunate that we didn't get this. But yeah, it sold like almost 1 million copies on the PS2 in Japan only, which is roughly the numbers that Symphonia sold worldwide on both platforms.
Wow.
So it's kind of crazy. Like, well, we made this really good Tales game, but we're not going to give it to you. There was also a third team making Tales games at the time. It only made one game. It was you know, kind of like the Smash Brothers teams. Like, they just assembled a team to make a game at Namco, and that game became Tales of Legendia. And the idea behind that game was to make a Tales game with like a more fighting game based system. So there are some like Tales Studio developers, and then they got some people over from like Tekken to work on making this game.
Interesting.
So that's why Legendia people don't bring up Legendia that much. It's because it wasn't really made by Tales Studio. The composer wasn't Sakuraba, the usual composer for the Tales series, so it sounded different. You're listening. This is a scene here. Yep, they just talk. There's a cat in this game.
He looks pretty beefy.
Yeah, he's a big cat knight. But yeah, so it's weird because this is one of the more well-regarded Tales games in Japan. We did a video earlier on the site about Tales of the World Rev Unisha, and there are a lot of Tales of Rebirth characters in that. Yeah, you don't need to peach gel right now. But you know, I just think that it's interesting that, you know, usually we get the bigger ones, right? But somehow just this one just slipped by.
It seems to be a very well-rounded game.
It is, and
although I can't follow the story.
You know, there was a translation patch that had been in the works for a while. I'm not sure what's going on with that. There was a team who was translating it into English and Italian. And it's unfortunate that we didn't get that. But, you know, if you want to, you know, if you like Tales games, you can probably mash through the story. You know how to use apple gels, and you can just kind of, you know, it's a very trope-filled series. You know what happens based on the, you know, the music, really.
And you can generally figure out the rest from...
Big Cat Knight is like the older, wiser guy who knows what he's talking about. You know, then you need like the particularly curious party member to ask all the questions and then him to answer them. You know, as you do.
It's how you discover key plot elements in every game.
Yeah. But so this game was ported to the PSP, as were a lot of Tales games, actually. But we didn't get that one either. It would have been a really good time to bring it back. Of course, the PSP game was released when the Tales series had kind of fallen off in the West. Like Tales of Exilia really sold well here. I don't know how Grace's F did, maybe better. But that period before it started hitting PS3, and like after maybe The Abyss, it just kind of wasn't much going on.
They were still developing things.
Yeah.
Just didn't make it all the way over here, right?
So what's your favorite Tales game, Jerry?
I have to admit, I haven't played that many. But I am going to have to go with Symphonia, just because it was my first introduction. And a lot of the elements stuck with me.
Yeah, and you know, I think Symphonia is well regarded for multiple reasons. I liked it a lot at the time, but it benefited from, first, there being not that many JRPGs on the GameCube, and second, I think because there weren't that many on the GameCube, and the ones that were there were kind of non-traditional. You know, you had like Paper Mario, The Thousand-Year Door. You had, you know, Baten Kaitos. Like good things, but like kind of less traditional. That if you were born later or missed Final Fantasy VII, I think in a lot of ways Tales of Symphonia could have been your entry point into JRPGs.
I can definitely see that.
If you're a Nintendo kid, you know, either you played Final Fantasy 6/3 in 1996, or you owned an N64. You know,
missed all of the Final Fantasy development on the PS1, which was my introduction to JRPGs.
Yeah. So if you're a Nintendo kid, then like maybe, you know, Symphonia was a thing, and it was very good for its time. But I don't think it holds up particularly well, because the battle system's kind of simplistic and the story's kind of simplistic. It's well done, but you know, this had maybe the more mature team and the more advanced mechanics, but there were pixels, so that would not do.
Internal monologues. Gotta love them.
Yeah, you know, soliloquies over here. Tales games have a lot of text. Seems like you are about to fight those guys, right? Like,
if I can figure out how?
I guess they're holding them off while you talk to this bird? Nope, talking to this bird was not the way to do it. That's too bad. I wish it was talk to this bird. The bell? Nope, not the bell.
I feel like they're yelling at me because I am not doing what I should.
Yeah. Talk to that bird.
Yeah. Apparently I had to talk to the bird.
Okay. Well, that's really weird. It's a mystery.
She apparently has a save point just in her pocket.
Look, that's convenient.
It's really convenient.
She took it with her, though.
When she stole some poor town's save point?
You know, I mean, you're the only one who uses them. You know?
Oh, I guess that's true.
Oh man, this looks like it might be boss-like. I do like her tonfas.
That's pretty
I'm
intense.
a big fan of tonfas, and they don't get used that much. In fact, I think Namco's the only one that acknowledges the existence of tonfas. Because there's Talim and Soul Calibur, and there's Mao. That's it.
That may be an exhaustive list of Tonfa users.
Yeah, man. That's sad. But it means that, like, you know, sadly this game doesn't have the functionality that Symphonia had with 4-player. A lot of games do.
That was one of
the
my
PS2
things.
games just generally didn't. That they had 2-player but not 4. They just didn't bother with the multi-tap. But you could totally, you know, use her to attack, I guess. You might.
It made for interesting playthroughs with your friends of RPGs.
Yes. Still to this day, the most fun I've had playing an RPG is playing Tales of Grace's F with you guys. I think Exilia improved the battle system for single player, but with 4-player, I think Grace's is still the best version of that. I mean, that was so much fun. I wonder if the next Tales game will do something a little less combo based. Yeah, let's do one more battle here and call it a video, because you know it's a Tales game. You know what you're getting into, but
There's going to be a lot more of these battles where this came from.
yeah,
More sunflowers to kill, apparently.
basically this song again over and over. You get grade, you know? Yeah. But thanks for checking this out with me, Jerry.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Graham.